Welcome to Seafan Sports, sports show that is dedicated to Seattle sports fans. My name is Dave, this is Kevin, and this is Mariner Weekly. Now, make sure that you guys are subscribing to this channel. If you're not subscribed, what are you waiting on? And if you're brand new here and you haven't subscribed, jump on in because we're going to take you through some great Mariner content. Also, turn on those notification bells so that you know when new content drops. Make sure that you're giving thumbs up, give thumbs down if you gotta, and make sure that you guys are leaving comments in the comment section down below because some of you guys are catching stuff that we are not catching. All right, so let's jump in to Mariner Weekly this week. You know what, Kevin? Probably the biggest thing we've got going on in Seattle as far as the Mariners go is the lockout. We're on the precipice. That's my $10 word of the day of a great season coming up here. But unfortunately, it's tainted right now with the fact that we are waiting on the owners and the players to come up with some sort of an agreement so we can just have players report to camp and play ball. And right now, it's looking like this season's going to be pushed off because of this labor dispute. And on top of that, so I thought we would spend a few minutes and kind of break down some of the complaints on both sides. Kevin's leaning more towards the owners. Boo, Kevin. Make sure you drop that boo in the comment section. And I'm leaning more towards the players because I think without a player, there's no product. And Kevin seems to think that we could just go out and find a shortstop on the local softball team, and you guys are going to pay the money you need to pay to see those Seattle Mariners. But, Kevin, what is the first issue right now that you think that the players versus the owners is really standing out there?
Okay, let me put a timeout here on this thing. I never said that shortstops grow on trees or whatever. I'm saying without the owners, you don't have a team. I mean, you and I both know what happened in Seattle, you know, when Ken Behring came in and was moving the Seahawks. You know what happened when Howard Schultz, number one enemy of the state of Washington, sold our beloved Sonics to guys from Oklahoma City. So without the billionaire owners, we wouldn't have baseball and we wouldn't be having this podcast, especially with the Mariners. Now, I want to address some of the stuff that Paul Sewald had to say on 710 this week when he basically talked about certain issues that they have, and he wants to set his side of the story and explain why they're arguing. He basically said that 46% of the players made under $500,000. Okay, that is a good number, but the owners have already agreed to bump it to $615,000 for the minimum salary.
What do the players want?
The players want $775,000. Okay. So I'm thinking I've never had $75,000 pay raise in 1 year. So the players want $225,000 pay raise in 1 year. And I get it's over time. It's, they only do these labor things every few years, but at the same point, I haven't had that kind of pay raise, and the owners are willing to pay more money. One of the things he said is everybody's always talking about the millionaires versus the billionaires. And he says, I've been in the league for 6 years and I'm just now making $1 million a year. And he is. In 2022, he's going to get 1.75 million, which is good for him. I'm happy for him. However, in the 5 years that he's been in the Major League Baseball, he's made $2.777 million or $2.78 million in the 5 years that he's been in the baseball. So he did make millions of dollars in the first 5 years. So don't that argument, I've never made $1 million a year until this year. If you've been in the league 2 years and you're making $500,000 a year, that's $1 million. You're a millionaire. I don't want to hear it.
Okay, so Kevin, but you know what? Here's the thing. Do they honestly believe that they're going to get $770,000 when you're selling your car on Craigslist? You're going to set it for the highest amount that you possibly could get, and then it's our best offer, and they're going to negotiate that that down. And right now, the owners have set theirs is like, well, we're going to pay you 615. They're going to somewhere meet in the middle. That's what this any negotiation is.
Right.
And I think that the players have got to set the bar high. They were like, oh shoot, yeah, let's take that. They would not be setting up future generations that are going to play for those contracts.
But here's what I'm saying though. If the owners came back and said, hey, okay, we'll we'll pay you 615 million. The players could have said, well, that's $75,000, extra a year. We'll take that. But no, they
how negotiations work though, Kevin.
I understand how negotiations work. I get it. I'm just saying that, they're always talking about the millionaires and billionaires. They don't make $1 million a year. I want to know which billionaire made $1 billion last year. And I know you and I've had this argument because you're saying, well, if they only paid 1.2 billion for the business and it's worth 5 billion, then they made money. But that's called an investment.
Yeah.
This is an investment. They're putting $2 billion of their own money on the line to make a profit. And so I understand both sides of the story, both sides of the billionaire thing. I think they both are whining about not a lot because they make way more money than the guys that are paying for it. And I, the fans buying the jerseys, that have been supporting them since day one. I mean, we're paying for it. So stop fighting, play baseball.
All right, let's get into the topic number 2.
Number 2, competitive integrity. I think we all agree on this one that teams, I know a few years ago it was the Astros that were 10 years ago, the Astros were tanking for 5 years in a row. They're deliberately doing that to get the number 1 draft pick. I know Pittsburgh.
That's weird.
No, it's just because that's the way they did it. And that's why a lot of other teams, Baltimore Orioles have done it. Chicago White Sox have done it. I know Pittsburgh's done it.
Look at it. So the Seattle Mariners, to a certain extent, they are not putting the payroll out there that another competitive team is, and what they want to do is raise that floor to where you have to pay this much money.
Well, they want to raise it to $100 million a year. The players do.
Okay.
But at the same point, if you raise it to $100 million, then there should be some kind of a cap rate, like in the NFL or so that each team's only allowed to spend so much money. So you can go between here and there and you can't go over. Otherwise you're going to be penalized. They don't have that in baseball. And the baseball players don't want that because the baseball players want to make $32 million a year, like a guy, Max Scherzer. So they don't want, they want to be able to sign Chris Bryant to a $350 million, not Chris Bryant, but Corey Seager to a $325 million or $350 million contract. So they want the money, but they don't want to cap. They just want to raise to make the teams more competitive so that there's more money in their pockets.
And would that not make a more compelling product on the field?
I don't know. We just watched a couple of football teams pretty much go win 1 or 2 games of the year. And there is that ceiling. There is that floor and a ceiling, and they still tank. I mean,
I don't know. I think having teams that are going to invest more in their team, more about winning, is going to create a better product for us to watch on the field. That's just my feelings.
I think if you watch a baseball game and you truly love the sport of baseball, usually the games are compelling, except for teams like the Yankees, the Rangers this year, the Mets, that are just spending way more money than everybody else. So even if you put $100 million floor, you got to put a limit that otherwise it's not competitive anyway.
All right, let's move on to issue number 3, Kevin.
Service time manipulation.
Oh boy.
I can't argue. I mean, I think the players are absolutely right. If a player is ready to come up in a month after or a month and a half after the season started, he was ready a month and a half earlier. So I don't think there should be that much of an argument on that one. I think, and most owners say they don't manipulate, but they do. And I think that needs to go away. And I think there should be a penalty to the owners if they do it.
Example, Jared Kelnick. Okay, Kevin, let's go ahead.
But you can say that, but was Jared ready when he came up? He went back down to AAA.
Okay, well, we'll agree to disagree.
I don't think he was ready when he came up. I don't.
Let's go on to issue top number 4, Kevin.
Absolutely agree with Paul. I don't think the players or the owners need a federal regulator. I mean, they don't know anything about the game. Obviously, they do know about negotiation, and it's part of, if there is a labor dispute, they are supposed to be able to help if needed. That's what their job is.
Yeah, they're not going to mount up, Kevin.
No.
All right, issue number 5.
Arbitration. Right now, arbitration set at 3 years. I think the owners and the players should agree to 2 years, because that's what it used to be before the newest agreement. So I think we should go back to 2 years and we can move on. Let's play baseball.
All right, there we go. All right, here's the hot button, Kevin.
This is what you and I argue about the most, and it's the player pool bonus pool.
Okay.
I get it. I understand why the players, I mean, they want more money for these younger players, but right. I just proved a fact that Paul Sewald, who's really he wasn't that great of a player for the first 5 years he was in the MLB, and he made $2.7 million. They're getting paid. So I took my thought process is, hey, let the owners pay him $20 million. Each team pays $500,000 for their rookie of the year. Then they pool $4 million together, and whoever wins the MLB or the National League Rookie of the Year, or Player of the Year, National League Pitcher of the Year, Rookie, these are all rookies, they each give them $1 million. Everybody wins, but the players want $100 million.
Which is how much per team?
$3.3 million per team. Here's my question, though, and you said this: if you're going to give money, which is Paul Sewald and I can't remember the other guy that was saying it, they mentioned over and over about rookies. With the rookies win, they should get some kind of a bonus. Okay, but $3.3 million per team to give to rookies. I know you said it's for the arbitration guys, but this guy, $1.75 million for his first year in arbitration. I don't understand. So to me, this is just I think it's something the players are throwing out there to get all their other wish list.
Here's the thing, Kevin. The owners are already agreeing that this is something that it needs to be in baseball, because now hold on, because
they agreed to $10 million.
We're going to give you 10.
Yeah.
Where they're conceding to 10, which means that they're agreeing that this has to be instituted, because some of these guys are not getting paid, are not making as much. And so I think that this player pool of bonuses.
I agree. I said push it to 20 million.
I see. I still don't think. I don't see where it's that unreasonable at 3 million per team to have that pool to give out to your players that are outperforming those arbitration and lower contracts.
Well, how do you define it?
They're out playing.
They're out playing what?
Let's say that next year Toro comes out and has 40 home runs and is an amazing player for Seattle. Is he not worth an extra $1 million?
He's on arbitration. He's going to be making more money. I'm just saying, when you are a player, and this is what you dream of your entire life, because you're going to make it to the bigs, hopefully. When you get to the bigs, that money's coming in the next few years. You just got to play through it in order to get there. And if you're not good enough to get there to your first big paycheck, then you don't belong there anyway.
All right, let me ask
why do we want to pay them ahead of time? Because now I disagree with you on this one. And there's nothing you can say, anybody can say that's going to convince me that each team needs to give $3.3 million to give to people that are already making $615,000 to $775,000 a year. Sorry, not going to happen.
If you guys want to try to convince him, make sure you drop it in the comment section down below. Before we move on, Kevin, here is my prime example of that. Okay, Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis came out and just dominated his rookie year. Gave up his body for the Seattle Mariners and blew out his knee. He didn't blow out his knee?
He did blow out his knee in the second year, but he blew out his knee in Everett.
Is he ever going to get it to the millions?
He blew out his knee in Everett, running around the bases.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weak. And now when he's playing in the outfield, playing in center field and doing all that running, stopping everything, it damages his knee to the point where I get what you're saying.
Is he ever going to get the big contract, you think?
Well, if he hits and becomes a DH and a backup outfielder, yeah, he's going to be making millions of dollars a year.
But it's probably leaning towards the fact that he will not get to that level, correct?
Not how many DHs have made bank?
Oh, and I agree with you. Right now, I think we both think it's shaky at best that he comes out of this as the star that he was looking like he was projected to be.
Right. All I'm saying is that I think as a player and as the owner, I'm looking at it from a business side because I've had businesses in the past and I'm not a billionaire or a millionaire. So, but I understand both sides of the fence, and I understand the employee side because I've been an employee. I understand the owner side because I've been an owner. And it's frustrating because of the fact that everybody thinks that the owner should just give away more money. They're the owners, they're billionaires for a reason. And I'm just saying that they wouldn't have bought a baseball team. I know you think it's because of ego, but I don't think they would have bought a team to lose money. It just doesn't work that way. And they're already paying these guys a lot of money, which they deserve. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they don't, but when is enough? And when do you keep throwing? I know that, the fans are going to have to pay for it in the long run anyway. I don't want to pay any more money as a fan.
All right, Kevin, let's move. I don't think we've changed each other's minds on this even a little bit. Let's move on to the next one, Kevin. What's the next?
That was it. The next thing that's going on is Trevor Story not 100% sure that he wants to play anything but shortstop.
Well, I think we should save that for next week's show, Kevin. So I think we have next week, we have the debate of Story versus Bryant. So tune in next week. Make sure you turn those notification bells so you hear it. Drop the comments in the section down below if you think that I and the players are right, or whether Kevin has made enough compelling of a story to make us fall in love with the ownership group and give them all of our support.
I'm not saying the owners are not at fault. I'm not saying that the players are at fault. I'm saying that as a fan that's paying for both of them, I want them to put something together and get on the field so they don't delay our season as fans. That's all I'm saying.
Are going to be great. Anything else, Kevin?
Go Mariners.
See y'all next week. Love y'all. Bye.